All right, let's go to work. Big show tonight. He's Tyler Foljam. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is Bet. We've got the NBA draft. We've got a look ahead to Seattle and Arizona on Thursday night. Will Jameis Winston throw a pick six in his debut as a starting quarterback in the New Orleans Saints this weekend against the Atlanta Falcons, and more? First, very quickly, pour out a tear or some roulette chips. Tonight's the final night of Maction. Sad night, but it is better to have Mactioned and lost than to have never Mactioned at all.
That's what I've done. I have Mactioned and lost. Just can't get it right this year.
If you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on Twitter, thank you very much. If you want to check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. A lot to get to today. Special guests coming up to talk NBA draft in just a moment. But we begin every Wednesday with a little game called Let It Ride or Cash Out. Are you ready?
I'm familiar with the concept. Let's go.
Let It Ride or Cash Out. The Los Angeles Rams will win the NFC West with current betting odds of plus 175.
You know I'd love to see this, and perhaps this is an emotional hedge in saying I'm going to cash out here, but I do think they have a much more difficult path than the Seattle Seahawks. Joe, the Seahawks have the easiest remaining strength of schedule in the NFL at 377. That's the winning percentage there. The Rams, by the way, they're middle of the pack. It's 15th, but it's their winning percentage for their opponents is combined over 500, 508. So combine that with the loss of Andrew Whitworth, who's probably going to miss at least 6 to 8 weeks, maybe even come back in the postseason, but combine that with the loss, and that's why, my friend, I am going to cash out. Whitworth being gone and just the strength of schedule for Seattle, way easier. They still have all 4 games, I think, left against the NFC East. Like 4 guaranteed wins.
That's nice, considering the way they have been playing this season. I, however, am not with you, and that's odd because you're the Rams fan going against them. I am going with them. I am going to let it ride. But the first thing I want you to do is hold. Hold. We're not going to let it ride yet at this price. I'll get to that in just a moment. I like the Rams for 3 key reasons here. Number one, they've got the best defense of the options in the NFC West. Maybe you can make a case for the Niners if they're healthy, but the reality situation is they are not going to be competing for this. Number two, the Seattle Seahawks are riddled with injuries. Who knows how long that is going to plague this team? And number three, can Arizona handle the playoff push? We have never seen Cliff Kingsbury in a playoff push in the NFL. We haven't seen it with Kyler Murray either. That's a question. The reason I say hold, instead of betting them at plus 175, wait till next Tuesday. I think the Rams are going to lose Monday night in Tampa, and as a result, everyone's going to start talking about the Thursday night winner between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. The odds will shift. That is when you buy. That is when you buy. Hold for now. Wait until the Rams lose Monday night against Tampa, and that's when you get involved. Let it ride or cash out. Number two, the MVP award is Patrick Mahomes to lose.
I am going to ride the Mahomes train. Let it ride there. He's got a 25-1 TD to interception ratio, by far best in the National Football League. The Chiefs are very likely, Joe, barring some epic collapse, locked into a 1 or a 2 seed, a first-round bye. Usually we see MVPs come from a team that has that first-round bye. He's got an 84.7 QBR, which is second only to Aaron Rodgers by 1/10 of a decimal point. He's the best in the NFL according to QBR under pressure. He's the marquee player in the league. And if the Chiefs rack up 13, 14, 15 wins, and he's got his requisite 4,500 yards and 35 to 40 touchdowns, with Russell falling off, with Josh Allen falling off, and I think Lamar Jackson, the incumbent, he's not even close to these names that we're mentioning. I'm going to let it ride on Patrick Mahomes. I think he gets another league MVP.
Let it ride or cash out. The MVP is Patrick Mahomes to lose. I am going to go in the opposite direction here. What? Cash out. This is a spite pick, my friend. I am not above spite, and this is a spite pick. Every week, we have this conversation, and every week, we're picking the favorite. First, we talked about Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. Then we moved to Russell Wilson. Then we moved to Tom Brady. Now we're moving to Patrick Mahomes. Enough is enough. The buck stops here. What we're going to do is say, let's get ahead of something for a change. Kyler Murray's currently sitting at 6-1. He's got a relatively navigatable. You get where I'm going with that one? Navigatable. It's not a word. We'll make it one, but he's got a schedule he can navigate throughout the course of the season. He's got the big numbers. He's the star on his team. He's captivated the attention of the public. Also, let's go back to Tom Brady for just a moment. Currently 20-1. Guess who he plays in his next 2 games? The Rams and the Chiefs. If he wins those 2 games and he puts up big numbers, what are his odds going to be? We'll be back here in 2 weeks saying, let it ride or cash out. Tom Brady is the MVP this season. Enough's enough. Spite pick. I'm going against Patrick Mahomes. I'm not playing the favorite.
By the way, the word is navigable.
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 Close.
Navigable.
I feel like we were close,
close.
but not really. Number 3, let it ride or cash out. Ooh, this is a juicy one. James Harden will still be a Houston Rocket when the season starts in December.
I'm going to cash out on that and an emphasis on the cash. Okay? And the big reason why is the owner of the Houston Rockets, Tillman Fertitta, is hell-bent on avoiding the luxury tax, something he has done every year he has owned this team. I know he's got that UFC money, but he is not a cash-rich owner. He needs to stay under the luxury tax. And do you want to know what's left on James Harden's contract?
Quite a bit from what I understand.
3 years, $132.9 million. Come on down, Jimmy Harden. You're a rich man. He is so rich, in fact, because of that guaranteed contract, that he turned down an extension that would have paid him more than $50 million per year. So now that he's turned that down and his eyes are elsewhere, Fertitta would do wise to shed his payroll of someone like James Harden and Russell Westbrook alike. So when you look at the possible suitors out there, I do think there's an attractive package from a team like Brooklyn, young talent like Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jarrett Allen, draft picks, swaps of draft picks. So I'm going to cash out on this. He's out because of the cash that it'll save Tillman Fertitta.
Let it ride or cash out. James Harden will still be a Rocket when the season starts in December. I am with you on this one. Cash out. Superstars always get what they want in the National Basketball Association. Just look at Andre Iguodala, who's not even a superstar at this point in his career. He got paid by Memphis last season before being traded to Miami. He didn't even play for him. He never even showed up. From what I understand, he was still hanging out in the Bay Area playing golf, doing his thing. He was never a part of the team, yet they had to pay him. That's how it works in the NBA. The players dictate the action, not the owners. Those contracts are guaranteed. I remember Chris Webber couldn't play, was injured. The Sixers were paying him. Finally traded him to Detroit. Magically was able to play right away. Magically. He's going to Brooklyn, and it is going to be the most emotional team in professional sports history. I can't wait. Durant, Irving, and Harden, the all-emotions team. I can't wait.
The Brooklyn Feels. Can we just call them
the Brooklyn Feelings?
They're all right. In their feels.
Final one. Okay. Let it ride or cash out. Happy Wednesday. A non-Power 5 school.
Let me stop you there. I'm just going to cash out on this.
You're going to cash out on that one?
I'm going to cash out on this again. I would love to see a non-Power 5
We'll make the
school.
college football playoff.
I would love to see it happen, but it hasn't in the history of this sport. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I don't know if it's because the traditional Power 5 schools bring more money, bring more eyeballs for TV revenue, but the College Football Playoff Committee has proven they will not give chances to deserving resumes from non-Power 5 schools. As long as there's a big name school from the SEC, the Big Ten, or the ACC that's got just 1 or 2 losses, they're likely going to be given the benefit of the doubt for that 4th spot over a non-Power 5.
Friend, I am right there with you, cashing out as well. A non-Power 5 school will make the college football playoffs. Cash out, no. 3 key reasons. Number 1, this is about ratings and this is about money. Right. And non-Power 5 schools do not bring ratings and money to the table in the way that an SEC, an ACC, or a Big Ten school would. Number 2, if we never saw Boise State in their heyday coming anywhere near challenging for a national championship, and I know some of that was before the playoff, why would we see it now? Remember, in the year stricken by COVID, perfect opportunity for the committee to have excuses. Well, Ohio State's only 6-0, but. Well, Clemson lost that game, but Trevor Lawrence, but. And number 3, it's not like people are clamoring to see Cincinnati or BYU. They're fantastic. My man here's been talking about Cincinnati for weeks. I love what Zach Wilson's been doing at BYU, but the people don't want to see it. They really don't. There are a few people every now and again outside of the fan base that try to make the case. The reality of the situation is that the public wants to see Notre Dame, and they want to see the big-name teams. Oh, that felt like a good one today. The NBA draft tonight. ESPN, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And unlike in some years, there is still plenty of intrigue when it comes to this year's first overall selection held by the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Here's what Vegas indicates, and what's interesting about this in the last 24 hours, it's kind of flipped. Yesterday, LaMelo Ball was the betting favorite. Now it is Anthony Edwards, the dynamic wing out of Georgia. How about, Joe, we invite someone onto the show who can help us figure out what Minnesota's going to do at number 1. Let's welcome into bet our good friend Royce Young, who is following the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have the first overall pick in this 2020 NBA draft. Royce, the Vegas markets indicate Anthony Edwards is the favorite to be the number one selection. Our Mike Schmitz, in his mock draft, believes that, yes, Edwards is the best fit alongside Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell there in Minnesota. What has your reporting uncovered what you believe the Timberwolves will do with the first pick?
Well, as somebody that spent last week in Minnesota with the Timberwolves, sitting in their draft meetings, I can tell you, I can break it down for you pretty simply. They're either going to take LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman. They might trade the pick, or they might take somebody else, because that's kind of the impression that I came away with. And that's how a lot of people around the league are viewing this, is there's really not a consensus about where the Timberwolves are leaning. One of the things that I can tell you is that the Timberwolves' perspective is to take what they deem to be the best available player. And one of the meetings that I sat in, they went over James Wiseman very specifically, and there was a lot of conversation about his fit alongside Karl Anthony Towns and how those two players could play together over the long term. And I asked Wolves general manager Gerson Rosas about that fit and how they would factor in Wiseman's talent, and he very definitively repeated it again. They will take the player that they feel like has the best talent going forward, because this is not a one-year decision for the Wolves. This is a 4 or 5 year decision. And I can tell you this as well. While we may not all have a very good idea about where the Timberwolves are leaning right now, they do. They've done their homework. Their draft board is set. Now, they could be waiting on a phone call to come in, but they know who their number one player is. We've just got to wait and find out.
Real quickly, Royce, who do you think that number one player is? Who do you think would be the best fit?
You know, I think for them, there's a big conversation going on about LaMelo Ball and what he can do in terms of box office numbers for the Timberwolves. There is some questions about his fit. They just traded for D'Angelo Russell. They're very unique in this way also. Let me say that they've got two 24-year-old All-Stars in Karl Towns and D'Angelo Russell. They're not your typical number one overall team. That they're not looking for a franchise-type player. So Anthony Edwards kind of is the most natural fit there. The question, again, is for the Wolves, is he the best player? And a lot of scouts and a lot of executives agree LaMelo Ball's the guy with the most upside. So if they're going to stick true to that standard, I think it's going to be LaMelo Ball.
All right, can't wait to find out what the Timberwolves do with that number one pick. Royce Young, been embedded with the team all week long, joining us here on Bet to share his insight. Thank you very much, Royce.
Great stuff from Royce Young right there. Get a load of this. When was the last time a team with the second overall pick in any draft had 8-1 odds to win the championship the next year? Woo. That is where the Golden State Warriors, who are set to bring back Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, that's where they currently reside. 21% of the money has been wagered on them as well. And no surprise, the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers currently sitting at plus 350. Let's go to the Bay Area. NBA reporter for ESPN, who does an excellent job covering the Golden State Warriors, Nick Friedell, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Nick, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Let's start with this. Let's assume Anthony Edwards goes first overall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. What do the Golden State Warriors do at number 2? Is it big man James Wiseman, or is it possible Bob Myers and company could be thinking about LaMelo Ball?
Joe, it seems like it's Wiseman. He seems like the guy the Warriors have liked all along as they've watched him work out. There hasn't been a lot from his tapes during his time in Memphis, but they think that he can be a guy who can fit in with Steph, Klay, and Draymond, and he plugs an obvious need in the middle. They need a big man who can get up and down the floor, who can defend and block shots. If he's there at 2, all signs point to Wiseman being Golden State's guy.
Rumors have been circulating that the Warriors could trade out of the number 2 spot. What are you hearing on that front?
In an ideal world, absolutely, they trade out. Absolutely. They get a guy who can help them right away, maybe a pick later in the first round, but a more veteran piece. But, Joe, that piece just doesn't seem like it's there. The Warriors still have to figure out what they are going to do with that Andre Iguodala trade exception worth $17 million. I think they'd love to make a move. It just doesn't seem that like there are a lot of pieces that are readily available who would help them and be worth it. So they're going to take it up to the last second. They're going to work the phones. Bob Myers and his staff have been doing that all along, especially in the last few days. But in the end, if Wiseman is there at number 2, I don't think there's a deal for him. I think he's their guy.
NBA reporter for ESPN, Nick Friedell, with us here on Bet. Thanks, Nick. Great stuff as always.
You got it, bud.
2020 NBA draft coverage begins tonight on ESPN at 7:30. All right, time for a little game called One Word. Here's how it's going to work. I am going to give you a betting statement.
Okay.
You are going to give me the first word that comes into that very beautiful dome of yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Are you ready?
Moisturizing.
Moisture. All right, here we go. Jameis Winston is 9-1 to throw a pick six against the Atlanta Falcons this weekend.
This, to me, my friend, is seductive. It's just sitting there at the corner of the bar begging you to take it. Jameis Winston, how many times have we seen Jameis be loose with the football? Oh, all too many times last year with Tampa Bay. It's seductive, though. I wouldn't go near it. This is a different offense. It's not Bruce Arians that challenges him to push the ball vertically and take chances. Sean Payton's the opposite. Low A-dot, be conservative, get it to Kamara, get it to Thomas. So, yes, it's seductive. It looks pretty. 9-1, Jameis, pick six. But stay away from seductive sometimes, Brother Joe. Not necessarily good for you.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
It is going to be cathartic. Cathartic, because Jameis Winston is going to throw a pick six against the Atlanta Falcons this weekend, and you are going to cash a 9-1 ticket in your pocket. Jameis Winston threw 7 pick sixes last year as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In fact, his final pass attempt ever as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer was a pick six to Deion Jones of the Atlanta Falcons in overtime of Week 17. Now Winston departs Tampa. He takes a cheap contract to join the Saints, rebuild his career, and just when you think it might be a new day, cathartic. We're right back where we started. Famous Jameis, FTW for the win. Number 2, give me one word after this statement. Mac Jones, the Alabama quarterback, is the Heisman favorite at plus 180.
You have seen the American classic, right? It's called Wedding Crashers.
Yes, it is a fabulous cinematic masterpiece.
There's a very famous line in there where Vince Vaughn goes, erroneous! Erroneous on all accounts. Mac Jones, sure, a fine quarterback, but should he be the favorite right now?
You're slipping.
I don't know what is happening right here. I'm not slipping. The markets are slipping. Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields, combine them. Wow, what a QB that would be.
Yes.
Either or, to me, is a better bet than Mac Jones. I don't understand this. It's because Alabama's gotten in more games than these teams, because Lawrence has missed. He's been good. He's been serviceable. But Alabama hasn't really been tested, and I haven't seen Jones have Heisman moments the way I imagine Lawrence and Fields will. So erroneous on all accounts.
Erroneous. All right. I am going to give you the following when it comes. Bullseye.
Bullseye. I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
A lot of producers, a lot of higher-ups, a lot of suits at ESPN getting very worried
Yes,
there. Never
fun
fear.
as well.
We always play it straight on Bet. Bullseye. So, Mac Jones. Who else is worthy of being the betting favorite right now? Jones has monster numbers, which is something we like. He has an undefeated record at a major college program, at a major college conference, and he's got wins over Georgia and Texas A&M to boot. Who else has a resume like that that should warrant the spot of being the betting favorite? Trevor Lawrence. Not a single big win this year, and he's missed 2 games due to COVID. Ian Book from Notre Dame. He's missing the big stats. Zach Wilson from BYU. We love him, but he's not at a major school.
He doesn't play at a Power 5 school.
Not really playing any major teams, but he is rolling up some great numbers. And Justin Fields hasn't played enough games just yet. All tremendous players, all worthy of recognition, but bullseye with Mac Jones. He checks all the boxes at this point. Number 3, give me one word. After the Lakers, the Nets and the Bucks are tied at 5-1 to win the NBA title.
That, to me, especially for one team.
Careful now.
Especially for the Nets, those are swollen odds.
Swollen.
Much like the egos.
You didn't want to go with inflated?
No, I didn't want to go with inflated. Much like the swollen egos and swollen sensitivities of that triumvirate of possible teammates in Brooklyn. If James Harden is dealt there, yes, they'll have all the star power in the world. But boy, it's going to be hard for Steve Nash and co. to try and make this fit. 3 guys that are used to dominating the ball, 3 guys that are used to dominating the headlines, 3 guys that are used to dominating the fanfare and love So I think it's a little swollen, especially for the Nets. I could say the same for the Bucks, who haven't even made it to a finals in the Giannis era. And although they made some nice moves, why 5-1? Why not the Clippers? Why not a team like Miami who went there a season ago? So for both teams, especially the Nets, though, for swollen odds.
Swollen odds. I like it. After the Lakers, the Nets and Bucks are tied at 5-1 to win the NBA title. My word for that will be
euphoric. Euphoric. Ooh, okay, I like that word.
I cannot tell you how happy I am about this situation. These are the co-favorites to win the East. They are tied for second at 5-1 to win the NBA title. You have the biggest choke artists in the NBA in Milwaukee. The Clippers went for the title, but they don't have that title. The biggest choke artists reside in Milwaukee, and I like all the moves they're making, but they're choke artists until further notice. And then if James Harden joins the Nets, you have the most emotional team in the history of professional sports playing basketball in Brooklyn as the #2 feature basketball program behind the New York Knickerbockers. Euphoria. I love this. I cannot wait to see what happens when choke artists go head-to-head against team feelings, team emotions. Euphoria. All right.
Well done.
Thursday night football. We're going to talk about it today instead of tomorrow because we have a little surprise regarding tomorrow's show. We will tell you about that at the end of this fine program. It's the Seattle Seahawks laying 3 with a monster total. No surprise there. 57.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. Rematch from week 7 when the Cardinals went to, or hosted, I should say, the Seahawks. Sunday night football went to overtime, got the victory. The quarterback matchup is the featured attraction here. Kyler Murray against Russell Wilson. You are a man who loves props.
Sure.
I love your props. I love betting your props. Give me something quarterback related here that I can bet for Thursday night.
All right, let's start with Kyler Murray first and foremost, because I actually do think that Murray and the Cardinals are going to win this game. But
look at you.
We all know that it's been profitable betting quarterbacks against the Seattle Seahawks pass defense. Why? Well,
they stink.
Let me tell you, the Seattle Seahawks are allowing 0.2, don't want to shortchange them.
Get it right.
Add to it, 353.2 passing yards per game, which is 40 yards per game worse than the next worst defense. So that's they have given up 400 more yards total through the air through this season than the Atlanta Falcons. Kyler Murray easily should go over 280.5. He had 360 in the last game against the team. I know it was an overtime game, but now this time with Seattle at home and maybe driving the scoring more, so to speak, and Kyler having to play catch up, I like anytime Kyler's putting the ball in the air against Seattle, he's going to accumulate yards. So 280.5 to me is a little too low. This should be closer to 300 with the way that teams have carved up the Seattle defense.
I'm going to play right into that with you. I like that prop. I like it a lot. I also like Kyler Murray going over 57.5 rushing yards in this game as well. He's hit this mark, believe it or not, in 7 of 9 games this season. 57.5 rushing yards is nothing for that dude. He's also hit this mark in 4 straight games, which includes that aforementioned matchup against the Seahawks in week 7 when he ran for 67 yards. He's actually averaging 67 rushing yards per game this season. So I'm going to play yours, I'm going to play mine, and one of two things is going to happen. He's either going to throw for a ton of yards and I'm going to win there, he's going to run for a ton of yards and I'm going to win there, or wait, bonus option number 3, he ends up cashing on both tickets. Against this defense, I'm not even going to begin to believe that neither of these will cash, which of course means I mushed it, and neither of these will cash. Russell Wilson, do you have a prop for him that you'd be willing to?
I do have a prop for Russell Wilson. I know he's looked a little shaky in recent games, but I'm going to go back to the well on Russell Wilson throwing 3 or more touchdown passes. The prop is 2.5 plus 120 on Russell Wilson. Here is why.
Plus 120 plus 3.5.
2.5. No, he's got to get 3. It's
2.5. So we just need 3. Okay.
Yeah, just need 3.
Tickles my fancy.
The prop is 2.5. This game is in Seattle. Russell Wilson has yet to have a game in Seattle where he's thrown less than 3 touchdowns. He's actually averaging 4.3. Is it 2 games?
What?
2 games of 5, 1 of 4, and 1 of 3 when at home. We're expecting this to be a high-scoring affair. The total is up almost close to 60, so both teams should be scoring 4, 5 touchdowns in this matchup. Russell Wilson will bounce back because it's a much easier matchup than going up against what we saw the last week against the LA Rams. Having Jalen Ramsey, having Darius Williams, having Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, much different than what the Cardinals can do. Yes, they have good talent back there, Pat Peterson, Budda Baker, but again, last time we saw them play, he threw 3 touchdown passes, also had 3 interceptions, but it doesn't matter how many picks he throws.
That doesn't matter.
As long as he throws 3 touchdowns or more, we're good, and he has yet to throw less than 3 in any game at home this season.
That is incredible. Job well done on that research. I'd love to give you something Russell Wilson related. I don't have it. I'd love to give you something on the game because I've been going back and forth for a day and a half on how I want to play this. On one hand, I want to buy into Arizona here, but it feels like it's going to be a public dog. It feels like it's going to be a public dog on Thursday night. So I tried to make the case for Seattle this morning, laying the 3. After all, the look-ahead line here was Seattle minus 5.5. Now it's down to 3. Let's go back to week 7 when those two played each other. In overtime, there was a big hold on a DK Metcalf touchdown that would have ended the game.
Correct.
What if that hold doesn't get called or it doesn't happen, right? Seattle wins.
Right.
Now, against Buffalo this past Sunday, Arizona needs a miracle play from Murray to Hopkins to beat the Bills. What if that play doesn't happen? Suddenly, instead of 6-3, you've got an Arizona Cardinal team sitting at 4-5. But because of 2 plays, they're 2 wins better. Now, if they were 4-5, what would the spread be for this game? That's why I begin to think there may be value in Seattle. However, hold the phone. I'm waiting until tomorrow. I got to see the injury report. Starting corners, starting center, running backs. Too many guys are banged up. I'm going to wait till tomorrow to make the call on this game. So all that talk results in nothing.
Thanks
I
a lot.
apologize.
What about the total?
A lot of words.
What about the total? Do we feel more comfortable about the total? Yeah, okay.
What am I going to do? Play the under and watch them put 80 on the board?
Just check it. Just making sure.
Now, that's a battle of 6-3 teams on Thursday night. Seattle, Arizona, and the Rams also sitting at 6-3 as well. In fact, at this point in the season, we currently have 9 teams who are 6-3 in the NFL. There they
Look at the American Football Conference.
The AFC, they're always good for a conversation. So I ask you, my friend, if you were to find a 6-3 team in the AFC and a 6-3 team in the NFC capable of upsetting the favorites, teams like Kansas City, Pittsburgh, the Saints, the Buccaneers, who would they be? Give me one from each conference.
Let's start in the AFC first and foremost. This Miami Dolphins team, boy, the job that Brian Flores is doing, the Miami Dolphins could upset the apple cart in the AFC versus the heavyweights, the Steelers, the Chiefs. Don't know if you consider the Ravens that anymore. Look, the Dolphins' defense has turned into a matchup nightmare because of their ability to pressure quarterbacks and the elite talent duo they have in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones in the secondary. And this scheme that Brian Flores is running, the zero blitz scheme, where he's making everything look the same at the line of scrimmage and then changing it as you snap the football in terms of the coverage or the blitz, it's given opposing quarterbacks fits. Their plus 69 point differential is second best amongst all NFL teams that are 6-3. They have the second best point differential behind only the Ravens at plus 69.
That's an important metric at this time of year.
It is. If we go to the NFC, my friend, I think it's the Arizona Cardinals.
Really?
Who is going to want to prepare for and play in the postseason Kyler Murray? Who's going to want to do that? No one.
Not many.
They, by the way, have the best point differential in the NFC West. Not the Rams, not the Seahawks. It's the Cardinals at plus 56. That's a team you're not going to want to see in the playoffs.
Interesting. I like both those selections. I'm going to throw it to your way as well. In the AFC, it's not very sexy, but I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts for a small handful of reasons. Number one, they play very good defense. When it comes to the playoffs, you need to be able to show up on the defensive end of the field. Number two, they've got a very nice path set up to win their division. Unlike Miami, who still needs to overtake Buffalo and some of the other teams you've seen, this could be a 6-3 team that wins the division and hosts a playoff game in the first round. There's some value there when it comes to these picks. And number three, they have a very good offensive line. You probably thought I was going to go with something positive about Phillip Rivers. I can't do it. Although he at least has some playoff experience.
Would have thrown this pen at your head.
In the NFC, I'm going with your Los Angeles Rams. I think they bring tremendous balance to the conversation. They've got one of the best defenses in the division. Might not be the best in the conference, but it's good enough to win in the playoffs. Playoff pedigree, Super Bowl run 2 years ago. They know how to handle December. They know how to handle the rush. And the losses they put up this year are what I like to call good losses. Good Buffalo team on the road. They had a great chance to win it. Against San Francisco, a divisional game where the Niners were much healthier. And the Miami game where they were coming off a Monday nighter, going across the country to play a good Dolphins team. Those are good losses. They don't have any bad losses on the resume. So there you have it. We promised a special announcement. We have a special announcement.
This is exciting.
Bet airs every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Thursday. And we come to you on Facebook, on Twitter, and on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Tomorrow's show will not be streaming. It will be available at midnight Eastern on ESPN2. This guy right here got called up to the show.
What?
Got called up to the show. I'm going to grab onto his coattails and ride with him. So you won't be able to find the show streaming tomorrow, but you will be able to find it on ESPN2, midnight Eastern, Thursday and the Friday.
Yeah, that's. Sometimes I get confused when you say midnight Eastern. Well, what does that mean? Do I got to wake up early on Thursday morning or early on Friday morning?
It means midnight Eastern.
Stay up all through Thursday into Friday and turn on ESPN2 right when that clock strikes midnight and the weekend begins.
Are you going to wear a special shirt?
I'll do something for the viewers. I'll do something for the viewers.
We'll see. Yeah. So we will catch you tomorrow, midnight Eastern on ESPN2. But for now, thank you very much.
Deuce.
NBA Draft Tonight coverage begins at 7:30 on ESPN. Check us out on Daily Wager in 30 minutes, ESPN2.